nodes. And the students also looked at notifications and sentence starters, those functions on the platform. The process was that I sort of showed the platform to the kids and told them how they could get on and sign up, and gave them the task they were supposed to complete. We talked a lot about the features and how it was different and similar to what they perhaps seen before. They had a live discussion in class about progressive era issues. That was the unit we were doing. So things like child labor, muckraking, and women's suffrage, stuff like that. And then they took a survey afterward to sort of debrief. With the teachers, I presented the platform. There were some malfunctions in terms of, and like just at that time, in terms of showing them how to drag and drop the nodes, and they were unable to get on and sort of mess around with it just because of some problems there. But I talked to them about it. We had a pretty good conversation about it, and then they took a survey about basically that conversation and everything I could show them. So the in-class discussion, again, that's sort of what it looked like. We uploaded a couple of videos the kids recorded to YouTube and then had them on the discussion forum, so they could listen to a couple of the kids talk about a progressive era issue and then respond to just that video rather than reading. Like the piece to the left is the text box, obviously, and that was a student work about child labor, and Ted Wall over there in the video, he just recorded his paragraphs so that people would have to listen to them instead of reading them. So, and this is sort of what it looked like when they had the sentence starters pop up. This is kind of sort of what they were reviewing. There were also bar graphs showing the results of polls that were given, and it was mostly like, do you agree or disagree with this statement? At the beginning of the discussion, they also answered a poll about, there was an entrance poll and an exit poll asking the same question about just progressive era issues, and it kind of showed what theme in U.S. history was most important during the time period: personal rights, government regulation, or economics. And they took that, they answered the same question before and after the live discussion to see if their opinions changed at all, and they really didn't over the course of the discussion. But it's one functionality you could have. And I told them that if you were really good at discussing, you would be able to change other people's opinions, but that's sort of another thing we need to work on this spring, just pedagogically. This is a survey we gave them. They gave pretty positive feedback on the platform. They all said it was very easy to use. They would continue to use it outside of class, which was false because I assigned them homework on the discussion spawn. They were supposed to log back on at home and fill out a question on one of the nodes, and only one student did, which is not wholly surprising. It's because they don't do homework. They all said the sentence starters were pretty helpful. Most of them strongly agreed. Only a couple disagreed. Most of them said they did like it more than the Ning. It's hard to say like how precise that measure is because they knew that I had worked on this and they liked me fairly well, so they might have just been trying to flatter us. But and also the people who disagreed, it's hard to say whether they actually liked it or not because they had only used it once and they were very comfortable with the Ning. We've used it all year, but in general they did say they enjoyed it more, and they said that notifications were helpful. Which I thought was interesting because I didn't call that much attention to them. Just up the top of the page when someone replied to their posts, they got a little notification. Up here you have 0 unread replies. So when they got a reply, that number changed, and they said that was helpful just to know that the discussion was continuing. Some quotes I pulled were, what do you like most about the setup? They said that it was just very easy to use, it was simple, straightforward. They liked the fact that everything was laid out in front of them rather than having to click around and stuff like that. The key differences, they were really excited about the avatar function that I sort of just brought up to them. And we haven't built that at all, so they were really excited about getting more of the social networking functions up and running. And they liked the bar graphs, like the immediate feedback on the polls. They really enjoyed that a lot, so they could see what everyone else was saying. They thought that the sentence starters were there were sort of mixed reviews on them. Some of the kids thought they were really great and really enjoyed them, and others said that I think that we should just think for ourselves, and I'd rather not be told what to write, which was great. I mean, those were probably the high flyers who didn't want any help at all whatsoever, and I didn't analyze them that hard, but a lot of them said it was really nice to have something to get their conversations going. So, and that kind of plays to the idea that if we were to build like a leveling system, then we could take away all those supports from the kids who really don't want them, based on their level. And the things that they would change, again, was they wanted avatars and they wanted personal pages really badly, which is pretty funny. The teacher feedback, they all said it was easy to use or looked easy to use. There were only 6 teachers, so there was my social studies team. Most of them thought it was fairly different, and they liked the different supports that were built in. That was what they were really focusing in on, was the sentence starters and the other supports that could be really built into the platform. Some of the feedback was that other than that, it's not very, very different than discussion forums, other discussion forums. Here's some of the feedback I got from them. They said it was, very simple and visually appealing, because there wasn't a lot of like background noise and visuals. They want to know a little bit more about what kind of statistics can be brought to the platform, and the other stuff that they thought we could add were things we've already talked about, like a chat function, a live video function, and they wanted to know more about students uploading work rather than just the teacher uploading work, which is a different style of discussion and different assignment. But other than that, we talked a lot about, with the teachers, especially the bookmarking function. And they really want to know about that. They thought that was a really good idea. The idea that as the students go through all the notes, they can flag the content that they think is useful, so that then naturally, if you're having a live discussion like this, there should be some sort of writing assignment afterward to solidify opinion or whatever else. And if the students were able to flag on all the nodes what they thought was most important, and it dumps into like one document or what have you, then that can be extremely helpful. And the teachers wanted to know a lot more about that and wanted to see that. And then, of course, the students, they were really vocal about the avatars. I was actually somewhat surprised. Right now I use PowerSpeak for my German class, and that avatar has sort of fallen off the map. A lot of kids, they haven't even set it up this year. They're not really all that concerned about it, which that was interesting. So, but that's sort of the testing that we did, and we got, I think, some fairly solid feedback from teachers.